Hello and welcome to another episode of Road and Race. You catch me in my glamorous home office because, well, to be brutally honest, it's freezing cold outside and I usually do this stuff in the car, but I don't want to get cold, so here we are. Right, let's crack on. So this is part 2 of my dream garage build. In my previous video, I went through my requirements for my garage, so if you've not seen that episode, you don't know what I'm kind of thinking of building, then click up here. There you go. So this video is all about planning. It's getting everything in order so I can actually start, getting the build ready. So first off, I've hired an architect. I'll put the plans up on the screen now. So here they are. As you can see, it's a fairly straightforward building, really. I mean, it's got a roller door at the front, side door and window at the side of the garage, 6 windows in the ceiling, standard foundations of a cavity wall, insulated roof. It's also going to have provisions for hot water, cold water, electricity, heating and the internet. So I'm going to run all those pipes and provisions from my main house. And obviously there should be plenty of room in there for storage and a workbench. So in the last video I talked about permitted developments here in the UK. So that's the ability to build certain buildings without planning permissions. Me and the architect looked through the plans and it was just going to be too much of a squeeze to try and get the lift in there. And since I'm going to have this garage for a long time, I'm not planning to move house for, well, till I have to retire or die or whatever. I want to make it the best I can. I don't want to compromise at this stage. So we had to go down the planning permission route with the council. What that means is asking the council basically their permission to build the property. So what the council are looking for is that the building isn't kind of out of place with the kind of surroundings, is in keeping with what is built around it. And isn't going to interrupt or inconvenience the neighbours too much. So I'll bring up the original plans here. So originally we were going to have the garage a bit closer to the house, and I got the council to come round. I paid about £60 for like a pre-planning consultation, and a lady popped round and said, you might get planning permission if you have it near the house, but you might block light into the neighbour's garden. So I went away and had to think about that. And actually it turns out, when we actually thought about it, it's probably best to put the garage right at the back of the garden. It's out of the way, it won't block anyone's light, it won't be kind of in the way or anything like that, or there's no reason the neighbours could really complain about that. So we went for planning permission based on that, submitted the plans, and I think it took 6 to 8 weeks. It's a fairly long time to wait, but it was fine. They agreed. They said I could build the garage, so that's all good news. If we have a closer look at the top-down view of the plans, you'll see that there's a small access road down the side of my house, and we're going to put some kind of driveway down the left-hand side of the garden all the way to the garage at the back of the house, and then have a little kind of turning point so I can get my car in and out and I'm not reversing my car out all the way down the side of the house. So now that we have planning permission, we need to talk about the other technicality of building in the UK, and that's building regs or building regulations. Now they are basically to make sure that your building is sound, it's fit for purpose, it's not going to fall down, and it meets certain standards. Because this is just a garage, there aren't that many standards I need to really adhere to. It just has to be safe, built in a safe manner, and also the foundations. The foundations of the building is what building regulations were most concerned about when I had them visit. They want to make sure the foundations were deep enough to support the building over time, because there's a lot of trees around where I live, so the tree roots could cause a problem over time. So that was the main problem they wanted me to address. So we'll have to dig some test trenches and see where the garage actually sits and what the root system is like. But it won't be a problem. It will just cost more digging deeper. The further you need to dig down, more concrete you need to fill, then that's just adds to cost. So it's not unachievable, it's just more money, isn't it? In regards to insulation and how warm or comfortable the building is, building regs don't care because it's a garage. But personally, I'm going to build it to modern building standards because I want a cozy, warm environment to work in. So it's going to be, cavity insulated wall, so brick and block with a gap which we're going to fill with some kind of insulated wool, and then the ceiling will also have insulated wool or equivalent to keep in the heat basically. So moving forwards, what have I got to do? It's a huge list, so I have to get quotes for removing all the trees and plants. There's quite a lot of trees sitting in my way. There's a big cherry tree which is beautiful, but unfortunately it has to go. All the groundwork, so digging up all the foundations for the garage and the drive, then doing the flooring, getting the concrete base laid, insulation, all that kind of stuff there. All the electrical works, all the utility works, running water and things like that to the building. Then it's the block work itself, so the layer of kind of breeze block, and then the decorative brick on the outside. The roof itself with the woodwork, the actual roofing materials, the slate, and then the actual cost of laying the driveway itself. I've got some quotes for lifts as well, so I have to add that in as well. Now that I've mentioned lifts, thank you for your suggestions for lifts. They've been very useful. I've been looking into those, talking to a few suppliers. I still can't decide whether I want a 2-post or a 4-post lift. I see a lot of people have 2 posts, like obviously Ed China, and then when you see on telly there's a 2-post. But I've worked with 4-post lifts, and they just seem a bit safer because all 4 wheels are secure. Lifts the car, and you can still get under it, and you can still jack up the front or back to do stuff. We have to take the wheels off. So not 100% decided at this stage, but if you've got any thoughts, if you've got a lift yourself and you bought the wrong one, you say, oh, you should have got a 2 and you got a 4. Let me know. I'm interested in your thoughts. I need to actually start thinking about kind of technical things about the garage. So what roller door am I going to get? If you know any suppliers that are good, that provide good quality and also insulated roller doors. I don't want all the heat escaping out the door. What type of floor I should have, whether I just leave it concrete and paint it or some kind of epoxy down. Don't know. What type of lighting I should get. Is it like fluorescence or LEDs? Should be ceiling mounted, hung, don't know, have to think about that. I had a crazy idea that we should put lights in the floor of the garage, because you've always got a car above you, you're always looking up and it's always dark. So I thought, well, I'd have some up lighting. Would probably be a good idea, but I haven't seen anyone else do this, and maybe there's a reason for that. But something I'd like to do if possible. Heating. Now, as far as I know, there's 2 types of option for heating. There's some kind of electrical heating, be it kind of infrared, which is kind of the new kind of fancy stuff, or I somehow extend the central heating from my house all the way out to the garage, which just sounds expensive and complicated. Who knows? I need to get some quotes. I've looked into infrared heating. I'd need 4,000 kilowatts, no, sorry, 4,000 watts. Not 4,000 kilowatts, 4,000 watts of heating, which is about £2,000 spend, and I'm worried about how much electricity will be. I don't have much experience with infrared heating. Generally when I've seen it, it's been a bit rubbish, but I don't know, it must work, but who knows. Whilst your traditional radiators, central heating, that kind of warms up quite quick, and it's kind of a known factor, but hey ho, I'll get my heating guy around to have a quote. So let's talk about timelines and when I'm going to get this stuff done, because I appreciate it's been quite a big delay between the last video and this one, and I really need to crack on and get this garage built. So I'm going to go through and start getting quotes now. I'll get quotes from individual people about individual pieces of work. I'll also contract some main suppliers, one contractor to do it all, and see how that compares, see what their timeline or how their availability is. Want to start, so I'm recording this just for Christmas, so end of December 2019, and I really want to start the build in February and finish by April. So that's kind of my timeline with this. So the next video you'll see from me is likely going to be breaking down all the costs, all the quotes I've got, and see how much this garage is actually going to cost. Remember in the first video I said £10,000. Hopefully that wasn't too naive. I don't really want to spend more than that, but I guess I have to spend what I need to spend to get it done, I guess. And maybe starting the groundworks, maybe some removal, some trees, maybe some digging some trenches, who knows. But I really want to start cracking on now this. As usual, thanks for all your support over the years, and if anybody has any comments, suggestions about this video, please let me know. Thank you very much.